But I think what's much more important is that you understand that we have probably walked the same path, that you understand my journey and how my foundation and my principles and core values, how they were developed, and that you also see yourself along my journey and understand that the path that I've taken is a path that you can be on and take to success. So let's take a quick look at that journey. So the question is, how does a person born on a farm in the backwoods of North Carolina? Now, when I say the backwoods of North Carolina, I'm talking the backwoods of North Carolina. And when I say farm, not a regular farm, it was a pig and tobacco farm in North Carolina. How does this person, or what path does this person take to be able to sit and have a debate with Prince William on the benefits of the U.S. Army versus the Royal Air Force? You know, how does this guy on the left with the way too tight high water bell bottoms, and I'm not even too sure how you get high water and bell bottoms together, but that's all right. That's all right. We live that. But how does he go from that farm to having the opportunity to study at the Fudan University, the Chinese School of Business Management in Shanghai, China? There's a path there. Now, wait a minute, don't let this picture fool you. Now, the journey was not smooth and the path was not always linear or not always certain. So in this picture, I look like a clean-cut individual, but I was what my parents regarded as a little bit of a problem child. I was a little bit mischievous. I had a rebellious streak in me. I had an independent streak in me a mile wide. So for my generation, when parents had a child that they couldn't do anything with, out of control, what did they do? They sent them to grandma. Come on now. We may not have church in here, but we know about grandma. And so my grandmother is old school, an old school country grandmother, that type of grandmother that makes you go out and cut your own switch. Who knows about that? And you couldn't come back with a skinny one, because you know what happens you come back with a skinny one, right? And we'll cut your own switch for one of what we would call an early coaching session. Let's call it a coaching session. To be politically correct, we'll call it a coaching session. So I remember very early on, after one of my coaching sessions, my grandmother sitting me down, putting her hand on my knee, and saying, baby, you got a good head on your shoulders. And you're going to be all right. You are going to make this family proud. But right now, you need a little bit of discipline and a whole lot of Jesus. And so in the country, that meant you went to church all week. Early Sunday morning, Sunday school, Sunday morning service, Sunday afternoon children ministry, Tuesday Bible meeting, Wednesday prayer meeting, Thursday missionary meeting, choir practice on Saturday, and started all over again on Sunday. So, but what I learned from my coaching sessions and from spending most of my youth in church, and from an innate desire that whatever may happen in my life, I will do whatever is necessary to get off of this farm. That I knew I needed to change something about me, and I need to walk a different path. So we move on to junior high school, and I found this picture, and when I looked at it, there's so much wrong with that picture, I'm not even sure how to, I'm not sure if it's the hot pink shirt or the V-neck sweater vest that's not the right color, or my afro that just didn't, it just didn't sit right. Come on now, somebody's been there. Somebody has been there. And so, after junior high school, I started to get myself together and start to realize that, I get this, and I want to be more and do more and figure out how to do more. So A, I found a barber. B, I was able to graduate with honors, graduated at the top of my class, gave the graduation speech. But more importantly, along this path, I decided I want to go to West Point. And a lot of that decision was based on the fact that everyone was telling me I couldn't do it. It was not possible. It was just not the normal path for a farm boy to make it to West Point. And to be quite honest, at times, I even lost faith. So to get into West Point, just for an example, West Point evaluates 12,000 nominations every year. And of those 12,000 nominations, 1,200 cadets get into West Point. So we're starting off with a bad number. So, okay, how do you get to be one of the 12,000 nominations? Well, the primary way you get there is you get nominated by one of your congresspeople. So each congressperson, they look between 200 and 400 applicants. And of those 200 to 400 applicants, they each can choose 5 nominations. Now, even longer shot. Now, if you're a student of history or you love political science and you think back to the 1980s about who was in Congress in the great state of North Carolina in the 1980s, you will see where I even started to lose faith. The middle guy, for those of you who don't know, is the senior senator from North Carolina, Jesse Helms. Now, if you don't know who Jesse Helms is, all you have to do is Google Jesse Helms and race relations, and you will get a litany of who he is. You will understand that he went to his grave vocally proud of voting against civil rights, women's rights, and affirmative action. Now, in order to get a nomination from one of these gentlemen, not only did they review your transcripts and leadership, you had to take a physical test, academic test, but you had to go for an interview. And I'm thinking, how am I going to go for an interview with Jesse Helms? And even I gave up on the task. My counselors and teachers, they were like, there are other things you can do and still be proud. And so I got that. But there was one person that could not be shaken, that believed. And it was that switch-wielding grandmother of mine. And I remember exactly what she said. She said one simple statement: the plan of man will always be superseded by the plan of God. And you only need to worry about that one plan. And don't worry about anything else. And I remember her 3 times putting me in an old red broken down pickup truck and literally driving me to every interview and every test. And as fate would have it, the very first nomination I got back was from the senior senator from North Carolina, Jesse Helms. So not only did I get a letter back saying I was one of his 5 nominations, but the letter said I was his top nomination. So there was a lot of shock and awe in my family. And I probably didn't realize how ironic and significant it was until later in life that the person that really set me along this path that I'm walking will go down in history and is sometimes noted as the most racist senator in the history of the modern Congress. Ridiculous, right? And so you just don't know.